We're back with week 11 of the seven-figure year, architected with intelligence. Today we are starting week 11, and this is important because we've only got 2 weeks left. Can you believe it that you've been with us this whole entire time? And now we want to get going on the final 2 parts. This is one of my favorites because we're introducing the part about scaling that most entrepreneurs avoid. And it's not because it's hard or because it forces you to confront the truth. You're not overwhelmed because you have too much to do, right? Let's talk about that. You're overwhelmed because you have too little leverage. And leverage doesn't come from working harder. Leverage doesn't come from hiring faster. Leverage doesn't come from adding more to your plate. Leverage comes from systems. And here's the harsh reality is you can't step away from a business that depends on your memory, your mood, your energy, or your availability. You can only step away from a business built on systems, and that's where the SOAR model comes in. And it isn't just a framework. It is an operating system that frees you from your business. Singularity gives you clarity. Ownership gives you the team power. Appreciation gives you the systems that replace you, and the rest and renewal gives you the freedom that you've been chasing. And this is where your business really starts growing. And today we start architecting the real design of your business. And this is where you stop carrying the load and you start building systems, and people around you can carry that load. So this is week 11. Go grab your paper. This is the one that you really want to pay attention to. And don't forget, go to our Substack blog and subscribe. Go to our YouTube channel here, down here, click and go ahead and subscribe there, because you'll get all of the freebies. Everything that I'm talking about today is going to be available to you in our vault, and you can go there and you can actually download all of the past weeks that we've done, the videos, the training, the one sheets, the slides, everything that you need to build your business from 6 figures to 7 figures in 1 year or less without any of the stress, struggle, and overwhelm. Replace it instead with simplicity and systems and strategy. So let's go ahead and get started. This is going to be really great. And what are we talking about today is the way you look at your business, right? Is you really want to think about it. It can't always depend on me. It has to have leverage, right? And we're going to talk about those layers of leverage today on what you need to do. So when you're thinking about your leadership leverage, there's different layers, right? You can either be focused on the effort or the architecture. And which side are you on? Are you trying to build, or are you trying to carry everything? And that's the difference. We're going to be talking about this concept of the cube and SOAR, and you're going to see how it all comes together really nicely so that you can get away from this. All the chaos, all the stuff in your head that's going on, and you can actually start to build a sense of calm. And that's really where you want to be, right? And most people are overwhelmed. It's not your fault. It's just that so much is coming at us at once. And if you could separate yourself from that and define what areas need to be addressed by you, by your team, and what things can you leave behind altogether, that's when you're building a really powerful business structure. So we always like to start this series with a one-pager so that you can see exactly how you can leverage everything, and what we're going to be covering here today, right? Talking about getting away from this 6-figure operator mentality and getting into the 7-figure CEO mentality. We will talk about effort versus architecture. We're going to go into the SOAR formula, and we will show you what the leadership equation is for this week. So every week we give you a new equation to use that week so you can start implementing all of this and accelerating. This isn't an incubator where you just learn. This is a doing platform. So you're going to actually implement everything that we're talking about today. And if we go ahead and dive into the leadership equation, I want you to take a look at this, because this is really what we want to talk about first. Is there's three kinds of leadership that you have. There's self-leadership, and there is systems leadership, and there is team leadership. So all three of those we're going to break down for you and figure out where's your strength, where's your weakness, what do you really have to focus on to take your business to the next level. We're going to go excuse me, into the SOAR framework. And so we're going to break it down, all of these different levels, right? The S, the O, these are the blocks that are either going to break your business down or they're going to set you up for failure, right? And so there are all of those. Okay, we're going to break these down. So you're going to see what is the framework that you have to do, where are you missing, and what do you have to put in place? Okay, and we'll talk about what each one is. We're going to dive into them really closely as far as singularity, ownership, appreciation, and rest. If you don't have the rest cycle built in there, you're not going to make it for the long run. And we have to be in this game for the long run, right? So I want you to understand that if you have some questions, if you want to take the SOAR quiz, go ahead and you can type quiz down below. We'll get you the quiz. You can find out which one of these blocks is really holding you back. And then just go to callconnie.com, and in 10 minutes, we can go over your quiz answers and show you what is blocking you, what's holding you back, what do you have to do, so you can kind of trade that leverage that you need. Get rid of all the time that you're spending and turn it into mastering more money. So that's really what we want to be dealing with today. And so you can get on top of that time. So the leadership leverage layer, this is what we're building. Like, you want to have a structure that you can depend on in your business. And we want to make sure that in your business, you are not the one carrying all the business, right? You want to be able to buy back your time, build teams, leverage them through systems, and then you want to figure out, how do you cut the effort? How do you trim that, right? We talked about a glass ceiling last time, and what we want to really show you is, like, where's that leverage ceiling? Because there's an area where you look at a chart and it's like, how much effort are you putting in? You're working harder and harder and pushing more and more, but how much progress are you making? And there's that moment, right? And this is a moment. It's not actually where you see that you're actually failing at that point. What you're seeing is that this is the sign. This is the sign that you need to change what you're doing. And it's what we call a strategic inflection point oftentimes, right? Where everything you've done to that point isn't working, and now you have to make a shift. And this is what we're talking about, making that shift and looking at, what is that single point of failure in your business? What are all the things that you've been so focused on, and how can you get away from this? Oh, I'll do it myself. I'll just do it faster. I'll do it longer. No, right? So you have to really decide what stays, what goes, right? It isn't about working harder, because you can't sustain that. And you can't build a 7-figure business off of your own nervous system. You can't carry all these things. And then it's all going to come down to one point, and usually it's you, right? So what we're trying to do is get away from that. And here's where you want to figure out the gap. What can you do that you're not doing yet? And you want to stop doing everything yourself and, hiring reactively. Oh, it's so busy, we got to go hire somebody, but you didn't plan it. And maybe that's going to lead to more stress. And maybe you're focused on just managing little tasks, but you don't have the vision, and you're avoiding delegation. And, what happens then is all of your effort doesn't turn into progress. So as a 7-figure CEO, then you want to look at it a little differently. So if you look closer at that, what you're looking at is you're getting leads through systems. You hire proactively. You're the one who can delegate the ownership of different projects. You have the ability to protect your energy instead of managing all these tasks and decisions. And then you can build an infrastructure and create leverage rather than confusing that with activity. Okay, so you see, it's very distinct how a six-figure CEO behaves and how a seven-figure CEO behaves. So let me ask you, what side of the chart are you, left or right? What do you need to do? What do you need to put in place this week that will help you? Because a seven-figure business doesn't grow through effort, and this is what a lot of people think. Just do it harder. Well, right now I just gotta grind. No, you can't grind and not do it intelligently. It's like the great quote from Stephen Covey in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Leaders. And he says, the CEO who's been climbing, and then they realize, oh my goodness, I put my ladder on the wrong building. And that's the problem of not working intelligently and just going for the hard hustle and thinking, that's the right way to do it. So let's go ahead and look at the equation for this week and how you can leverage your leadership. And this is a fun one this week. So what we want to look at is, what are the 4 parts of this and how does it relate to SOAR as well? So remember, your hustling is not going to fix a broken equation. So what we have is your leadership leverage. What is that? That's composed of your self-leadership, your systems leadership, your team leadership, and you take those all together and then you multiply it by your vision. All right. So those are the 3 components that we really have to do. So we want to break this down into all the 4 layers, actually. Okay. So layer number 1, this is self-leadership. How are you doing with self-leadership? Your emotional regulation? Are you making clear decisions? Do you set really firm boundaries? Or do you kind of just, when the pressure comes on, you let it go? And your identity, we talked about this last week. Go ahead and get that one if you missed that lesson. It was awesome. And then the other thing is protecting your energy, because bottom line, everything rests with you when you think about it, right? And if you don't have the energy, you don't have the identity to stand in as a leader, people aren't going to follow you. But the people who are going to step past you is your competition. So that's level 1. That's that self-leadership. How are you doing with that? If you need some help with that, just go to callconnie.com. I've got some great tools on that. You can actually even tap into our 21-day mind mastery program and really build up your self-leadership. And then we go to level 2. This is systems leadership. This is, what are the systems that you have in place? What can you put in place to help you grow in a systematic way? And again, this is where we're talking about some of these cubes and how do you put them in place, in what order, so that it actually helps you grow your business. And so if we look at the different quadrants for this, what you're going to see is how simple this really is. So with these systems, right, let's talk about the myth. Right? The myth is that, oh, I have checklists and SOPs and all these documents in my Google Drive. That's not a system. Okay. The reality is that systems are this architecture, right? And that's what allows your business to be built without you. So do you have that? A delivery architecture, operational clarity, client experience? Is that its own system? Automation workflows that you can put into place so that the business can keep running without you. Okay. And look at those 4 quadrants. Ask yourself, do I have all 4? 3, 2, 1? Okay. Give yourself an A, B, C, D grade, depending on how many of those you have. And then now we want to take a closer look at level 3. And when we look at this, this is the team leadership. What do you understand here is, the diagnosis is that for most people, they don't have a team problem, they have a leadership problem. Maybe your team doesn't know what to do, they don't know where to go, how to build anything, and that's because maybe you're not hiring right, you're not setting the right expectations, you haven't built the accountability or the communication systems well. But when you make the shift and you understand delegation isn't about giving tasks away, what delegation really is, it's about giving ownership away. And so those 4 areas where you could be weak, you can turn that around, and each becomes an opportunity for somebody to own those different areas. And that's how you're starting to have that leadership, so you can be more of the visionary rather than the operator at a 6-figure level. And then now we're getting into vision leadership. Okay, so remember, we have self-leadership, systems leadership, team leadership. Those are all comprised. You multiply that by the vision leadership, and that's how you have leadership leverage. So let's look at this a little bit closer. And now we're starting this 4th layer. Again, your vision isn't a mood board or a slogan or a mission statement. Vision is the operating system that your entire team runs on. And so all these 4 parts of the puzzle need to come together, showing clear direction, uncompromising standards. This is really about, where are your values? What do you put there? Do you have the ability to move people just with your message, sometimes just with your presence, which we talked about last week? And can you set a strong culture? And you want to understand that this is where growth becomes inevitable. And also, I want to talk about the culture aspect for a minute, because a lot of people talk about culture, but they haven't built a great culture into their business. And this is even more imperative now when you're seeing so many companies lay people off, and the structure of the teams kind of shifts. People don't trust as much. When you have a shift in your staff and in your workforce, that can upset things. And if you don't have the leadership to keep an even keel, then you could really lose not only market share, but also reputation. So this is why that culture aspect is so important. You don't just build it in right before you lay people off. You build it in today. And everybody needs to have this buy-in to this culture. That's why we like to say, have a manifesto as well. And so, is this making sense to you? If you're liking all this, go ahead and type down below for the vault, and we will get you all of these materials in the vault so that you can access them. And then if you want to book a call with us, feel free to book a call with us, and we can go over all of these different pillars, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then, of course, we're talking vision. And what we like to do is, when you understand your leadership, then you have to understand, well, what's missing? What's the gap? Where am I falling behind? And is there a diagnostic way to assess that? And the answer, of course, is yes. And this is TIPS. This is the Iconic Profit software. What this does is, you'll meet with us for about 30-40 minutes, and we will go through and ask you specific questions on your business, determine exactly what's missing, what you are ahead and behind on, show you all of the numbers in grand detail, and then you can figure out, oh, now I have a plan and a strategy, and you'll walk away with a strategy to know exactly what to do. You can go ahead and scan that QR code right here, and we'll give you some extra bonuses, as of course our AI app that you will get with that. You'll get the book Simplify and Scale, so you know how to do all of this. And just to have this like magnifying glass on your business, and almost like a crystal ball to tell you what to do next. Where are you exactly? And we actually use benchmarks from the top industries, as far as some of the top consulting firms and their benchmark data, and compare you to that, so you know exactly how you're going to do going forward. And so what we want to look at is the ascension curve here. And when you think about this, how does it apply to your business if we look at the SOAR ascension curve, right? And we start with the S, right? So first we go with the S, and the S is singularity, okay? And we're going to break these down when we do an assessment with you. So the singular focus, what is the singular focus of your business? And how much does everybody know it and buy into that? Or are people all scattered, not sure where you're going? So that's the first part for you to have this ascension. And then we go to the O, okay? So this is the ownership. Who's got ownership? Are you the only one hogging it, or are you delegating it out like we were talking about earlier? So That's the next step. And then you go to the A, and the A is appreciation. How are we going to grow the value of this business as well as the people? You really have to focus on the people, not just your customers, but your staff as well. And then you go to the R, and that's the final one. And the R is the rest. And what happens in this rest and renewal phase, that's when you get all of the ideas for the next place that you're going to go. So R is important as well. And you don't spend as much time here, but the impact, it's a force multiplier. So, but you skip it and you can just watch everything crumble down. Is this making sense? Now, if you want to know more about SOAR, you can also go ahead and ask for the book SOAR. We have it in Audible, we have it in hardbound, and in Kindle. So you can get it on Amazon, or you can just ask me for a copy and I will send one to you. And then don't forget to take the SOAR quiz, because that's really going to help you as well. So now that we understand this is the curve that we're going to be going for, right? You hit each one of these levels to really put on these layers and understand that's how you get into this leadership mode. Too many people are operating as an employee or as an operator instead of a leader. And that's the only way you're going to be able to scale your business, when you shift into that identity of a leader. And so you have to understand is what we're building here and what's the engine that we are trying to create. So the first two we're going to look at is singularity and ownership. And so this is all about, the singularity is all about clarity, your role, your direction, right? You can't have a blurry identity. And then ownership that we talked about is delegating the outcomes, not the tasks, but the outcomes and the ownership of those tasks, right? So stop trying to rescue everybody, stop over functioning, over managing, right? You want to build a team that actually carries the business. And then we're going to look at the A and the R, and that's appreciation and rest. And so appreciation is really what happens when you're codifying works and you build repeatable systems. They're automating, they're predictable, and you're optimizing everything that's inefficient. Now, this is oftentimes where you are thinking about maybe your business. How do I actually integrate AI into my business? And what percentage of my business should be automated and agentic? Or where, just giving people access to Claude and ChatGPT and for emails, that's not it. You actually have to figure out what's the ratio. There's actually a scientific ratio between how much of AI and how much human capacity needs to go together, and in what order, and who's superior and subordinate to what. Those are all part of building out this appreciation. If you really want your business to scale and to soar, then you want to maybe call us in as your AI workforce designers and figure out exactly how you build this in without the chaos when you're trying to scale this. Okay? And then the rest. The rest doesn't mean you just take a vacation. Yes, you want to take those. I'm about to go on one in a minute. But it's all about the rest, almost like mechanically or mathematically, right? Really thinking about, well, what has to change? And what's the result if my business is no longer dependent just on me and my memory and my knowledge or my inbox, okay? And if I can really build this sense of calm, okay? And so this is where I say, go ahead and book a call with us. Go to callconnie.com. Down here, you can ask, grab a book, just do something today so that you can actually take on more of a leadership role. Because if you're serious about going from 6 to 7 figures, you have to step into that. You can't do it as the solo operator, everything rests on you. I know there can be, with AI, there can be these, everyone talks about the first $1 million and $1 billion solo business, but there are other people in there, okay? Somebody has to manage that, the AI as well. You can't do everything, no matter how amazing AI is, okay? So what is that inflection point, right? What's that inflection point where you're working really hard and you're working really long and you're trying to get everything done, but it's just not working? Where's that cross in the middle that is like, this is the sweet spot? And when you figure that out, that's where your business takes off. And that's where you want to get our diagnostic tool and book a call with us and get your business tips, right? So we'll take you through an assessment. We'll look at 22 different strategic areas that we can grow and help you grow in your business. And then you take that report and it tells you dollar for dollar, everything, every impact, every move that you're going to make has. And now you can operate with intelligence and you can architect a 7-figure business. So what you want to do is just choose your direction. What do you want to do? Okay, pick one of these 3. What's more important to you right now? Do you need an audit? Okay, then go to callconnie.com and we can do an audit. We can do a SOAR audit and you can take the SOAR quiz, or you can do tips and you can get all the micro details on your business so that we can have a macro impact on your business. And then maybe you need a blueprint. And this would be a complete analysis of your entire year. How do you set up your entire year? If you would love a 12-month blueprint, then we can help you out with that. And then you can just get everything from the vault and you can follow all of these steps. Or maybe it's a mindset thing and you really need to figure out, how do I use some of these blocks? How do I get unblocked in my business? And I have to tell you, this is the #1 thing that we have done with all 35 different industries that we have consulted with, is really looking at what are the blocks that hold you back and what's going to free you. Because most people, what are they doing? Their block looks like this. It looks like a Rubik's Cube. And they just keep spinning and spinning and spinning, and they can never get things to line up. Is that you? Right? And so what you want to do is go from this and go into this, right? Into absolute clarity. And so that's why I say pick your adventure, right? What is the next thing that you need? Do you want to have absolute clarity in your business and have total balance whichever way the world is spinning? Or are you stuck here? Okay, figure it out. Let us know. And be sure to subscribe. Don't forget to go to our Substack, and you can go also to Amazon to get the book SOAR. Whatever you need, we'll be happy to get it to you. But my first thing would be for you to go ahead and get an assessment, right? And get the report, see all of the micro details on your numbers, know exactly the impact of all 22 areas in your business that you need to focus on. And then you can really feel confident and move forward. So what you want to do now is pick what you need to do. Where are you stuck? Are you stuck in S? Are you stuck in the O, right? Maybe you're not clear on your direction. You need that. Maybe it's the O, right? And you're not really taking ownership, but you're more kind of outsourcing, looking at everybody else and what they're doing. That's a problem. Or maybe you don't have any appreciation and growth in your business. And what you are doing is you're stuck and you're attached to the old way of things. That's going to be a problem. Or then the final one is R, where you're always looking backwards. Oh, it was like this. It was like this. You're stuck in the past. That's reversion. What you need to do is take a rest, take a break so you can refresh and renew. And a lot of people need to do this, especially if you're looking at modernizing your business and making it an AI-powered business. Book a call with us, callconnie.com. We'll come in, we'll bring in an AI designer specifically for your business, lay out a plan, and now you have a game plan to keep up and stay ahead of the curve. As we say, you don't have to just stay ahead of the curve. We want you to own the whole road. So if you're ready, go ahead and take leadership by the reins. Do something that you learned today. Watch this again and then come back next week. It's week 12. It's going to be incredible. This is the wrap up where we're showing you everything that we've covered over the past 12 weeks to go from 6 to 7 figures in 1 year or less. And I can't wait to see you next week. Until then, be iconic.